law of contrast. When two things of opposite nature are brought together, they are placed side by side, then their differences become more glaring. This is the law of contrast. And that is why if Krishna want to talk about heaven, he talk about hell also. He talk about hell, he put it side by side with heaven, you compare and contrast, then you will choose. If you are to go to hell, if you choose to go to hell, despite knowing what hell is like, then the choice is yours. When you go there, don't complain. Understand? Sugar is brought, placed side by side with salt. They say this is sugar, this is the nature of sugar, it is sweet, salt is bitter. This is how they are, taste it. Then you will know which one to choose. This is the law of contrast. Understand? So when Krishna wants to talk about the glories of Bhakti Yoga, he first let us understand what is Karma Yoga, what is Niskama Karma, what is Jnana Yoga, what is, then you say, what is Astanga Yoga. Krishna wants you to have a taste, just have a glimpse of what this yoga is. Then you now choose for yourself whether to go for Jnana Yoga or you go for Bhakti Yoga, which is very melodious. Very lazy people like us can still practice Bhakti Yoga. But we don't even know that we are doing yoga. You see, we are singing, we are eating, we are talking, we are hearing scriptures, but still it is yoga we are practicing. Compare it to the one you have to sit down, keep your eyes half closed, you meditate and trying to control the mind and the senses mechanically, and for days and months, sometimes you don't even eat. That kind of yoga, it is there. You cannot practice it. So Krishna is bringing it into focus so that you can look at it and finally choose which one you want to do. Krishna said, this is what I want you to do, but you are reluctant. So look at all these other ones. Then choose for yourself. This is what he's doing. So this Jnana Yoga is mainly about sense and mind control through the Astanga Yoga system, through the breathing, regulating the breathing process. This is Jnana Yoga. And Krishna will place it side by side with Bhakti Yoga. Then we advise that you should take Bhakti Yoga because the process of Bhakti Yoga is the easiest. So let us start.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Please, sorry, can you give us the structure for the chapter 4, chapter 5?
The what?
Structure, the whole structure for chapter 5.
The whole structure.
Structure. When you started, like if chapter 1, you take this from this text to this text talks about this, from this talks about this. Can you give us for chapter 5 also?
Okay, I can do that, but I will come to that maybe in our next class because already the time is gone, and I will do that in our next class. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, in our next class, I will do that. Okay. So, Dhyana Yoga. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, this chapter 6. Anasrita Kama Phalam Karyam Kama Karotiya Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Naniragni Na Chakriya. The Supreme Personality of God has said, one who is unattached to the fruit of his work and who works as he is obliged or obligated is in the renounced order of life and is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Please read the purport. Purport.
In this chapter, the Lord explains that the process of the Eightfold Yoga system is a means to control the mind and the senses. However, this is very difficult for people in general to perform, especially in the age of Kali. Although the eightfold yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of karma yoga or acting in Krishna consciousness is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia, but no one is working without some self-interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated or external or extended. Sorry. The criterion of perfection is that to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view to enjoy the fruits of work. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity because all are constitutionally part and parcels of the Supreme. The parts of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for satisfaction of the supreme whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. The sannyasis sometimes artificially think that they have become liberated from all material duties and therefore they cease to perform agnihotra yajnas, fire sacrifice. But actually, they are self-interested because their goal is to become one with the impersonal Brahman. Such a desire is greater than any material desire, but it is not without self-interest. Similarly, the mystic yogi who practices the yoga system with half-open eyes, ceasing all material activities, desires some satisfaction for his personal self. But a person acting in Krishna consciousness works for the satisfaction of the whole without self-interest. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for self-satisfaction. His, his criterion of success is the satisfaction of Krishna, and thus he is the perfect sannyasi or perfect yogi. Lord Chaitanya, the highest perfectional symbol of renunciation, prays in this way. Nadanam, Nadanam, Nasundari, Kavitam, Va, Jagat, Isaka, Maye. Mama Janmani, Janmani, Sare, Babatad, Bhakti, Ahai, Tuki, Tuaye. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I enjoy beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yes, in chapter 5, Krishna explained how to achieve devotion through this Kama Yoga. And at the end of the chapter, he explained how to achieve that same liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. Now in chapter 6, Krishna will describe the process of Ashtanga Yoga in greater details. So here, although one who takes sannyasa ordinarily gives up performing fire sacrifices, here for the third time, Krishna asserts the importance of not giving up work. Krishna is emphasizing that it is better to do your work in the spirit of renunciation than not to work. So the true renunciant, the true mystic, he performs his duty, but he renounces the fruit. That is what Krishna is requesting from Arjuna. That the phrase lies no fire refers to Brahmanas. And one of the prescribed duties of the Brahmanas in the Varnashram is to perform daily Agnihotra, fire sacrifice. Krishna again explained that one who is unadvanced, somebody who is not very advanced, think that I have knowledge, I don't have to perform any duty. Rather, an advanced soul performs its duty without attachment. So this kind of sannyasa is Mayavadi sannyasi, not Vaishnava sannyasi. Please know the difference. This kind of sannyasi is those who renounce the work. They don't need to work because they announce sannyasis. They are Mayavadi sannyasis, not Vaishnava sannyasis. Okay? Vaishnava sannyasis work for the pleasure of Krishna. It works more than anyone else, but for the pleasure of Krishna. And the Astanga yogi also performs a lot of meditations, and when he is doing his sannyasi, he actually doesn't work also. But a real Vaishnava sannyasi, a Bhakti Yoga sannyasi, he does a lot of work, but all for the pleasure of Krishna. That is the difference. So, advanced souls in Krishna consciousness is the one who performs his duties without attachment to the results. And that is exactly what Krishna wants us to do. That's what Krishna wants Arjuna to do. Krishna repeats this point just before describing the Astanga Yoga system so that we will not become confused. That although Astanga yogis eventually go to the forest after renouncing their prescribed duties, Krishna wants to make it clear that Astanga Yoga, like Niskama Kama yogis, must first perform detached work. You must first perform detached work. You must first perform the work whereby he does all the work, but all for the pleasure of Krishna, not for his own personal pleasure. Even the Astanga yogi, one who want to perform Astanga yoga must do that also. So in the next verses, Krishna will now explain the relationship between sannyasa and yoga. So you understand this. Astanga yogi or Astanga yoga process is the process of sitting down in meditation, harmonizing the various air within the body through meditation, and gradually raising, one's life air from the base chakra to the top chakra. A lot is involved. A lot of concentration is involved. It is a process that can take you to the ultimate goal also. But when you compare it to the process of Krishna consciousness process is very easy, simple, and sublime. Therefore, take to Krishna consciousness. Krishna is telling Arjuna, walk in devotion. Astanga yoga is good, but don't go that way. That even the Astanga yogi, if he does not practice sense control, he cannot attain any advancement. That everyone who is practicing yoga must learn how to control the mind and the senses. And the best way to control the mind and the senses is given in Bhakti Yoga. So do this work, do your duty, then offer the results to me. Okay? That is the word. What is the relationship between sannyasi and yoga? Or between sannyasa or that spirit of renunciation and yoga? What is the relationship? Yam sannyasam iti prahu yogam tam vidipandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavatika shana. What is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Purport, please.
Purport. Real Scienza Yoga or Bhakti means that one should know his constitutional position as the living entity and act accordingly. The living entity has no separate independent identity. He is the marginal energy of the Supreme. When he is entrapped by material energy, is conditioned, and when he is Krishna conscious or aware of the spiritual energy, then he is in his real and natural state of life. Therefore, when one is in complete knowledge, one sense causes all material sense gratification or renounce all kind of sense gratificatory activities. This is practiced by the yogis who restrain the senses from material attachment. But a person in Krishna consciousness has no opportunity to engage his senses in anything which is not for the purpose of Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. The purpose of knowledge and a restraining and of restraining the senses as prescribed in the jhana and yoga processes is automatically served in Krishna consciousness. If one is unable to give up the activities of his selfish nature, then jhana and yoga are of no avail. The real aim is for a living entity to give up all selfish satisfaction and to be prepared to satisfy the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for any kind of self enjoyment. He is always engaged for the enjoyment of the Supreme. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self satisfaction. And because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity, all purposes are perfectly served by the practice of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Now, what is called renunciation is not to be the same thing as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. Therefore, one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. So, Ashtanga yogi must also practice giving up the desire for sense gratification. He should renounce sense gratification and is even renounce the desire for sense gratification. These are the 2 points. One is when you see the object of the senses, somebody gratifies them. A yogi, one who calls himself a yogi, should withdraw from such activity of trying to gratify the senses because self-control is the basis of yoga. Sense control, mind control are the basis of yoga. So once you give up sense gratification, but not only sense gratification, your mind should not dwell on the object of the senses. You should renounce the desire for sense gratification altogether if you are to become a yogi. And the best way to do this is to learn how to engage the senses in the service of Krishna. See, a Krishna conscious person has no opportunity to engage his senses in anything which is not for the purpose of Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. You cannot become Krishna conscious unless you control your mind and your senses. And yoga means linking with the Supreme. So in Krishna conscious activities, all activities are channeled towards pleasing the Lord, the Supreme. So a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi. He has renounced sense gratification. He has renounced the desire for sense gratification. Also a yogi, because he is practicing the process of perfectly linking with the Supreme through service. So a Krishna conscious person has no desire for any kind of self-enjoyment. He is always engaged in the enjoyment of the Supreme. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self-satisfaction, because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity. The soul is always active. Therefore, if you are not engaged in Krishna conscious activities, you must engage in sense gratification. Therefore, we are protected. The devotees of the Lord are protected by the package of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. You see, whereby they have no time. If they are acting in Krishna consciousness, they have no option than to act in Krishna consciousness, because everything there, as in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is to please Krishna. So the movement, ISKCON itself, protects the devotee, because the activities spelled out, the structure, everything is to protect the devotees from sense gratification. Rather, it will engage the devotees in Krishna conscious activities. So this is the beauty of this movement. Both sannyasis and yogis, they reject the desire for enjoyment. In other words, a yogi cannot be perfect without renouncing the desire for sense gratification. One who has not renounced his intention to enjoy sense gratification, that is to say, is hankering for material fruits, he cannot be a yogi. So it's the proper rise. A Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. So it is preferable to remain in Krishna consciousness. Krishna now explains that the yoga or the yoga process is individual, and it is divided into two levels. This yoga process is divided into two levels. And what are these two levels? One who is a beginner and one who has already attained yoga. Just like as in our process, we say one who is practicing Krishna consciousness is sadhaka. We are practicing rules and regulations. We are trying to control the mind, studying scripture. We are sadhakas. We are devotees in practice. But there are devotees who have already practiced until they have attained the result of this practice. They have become peaceful, perfectly peaceful. They are not hankering for anything, and they don't lament for it. They are self-realized souls. There are those who are already self-realized, while there are those who are doing devotional service in practice. So also the yogis are also divided into two. Ashtanga yogis, they are divided into two sessions. And one of the level is the beginner level, the sadhaka. Then the other level is the one who has attained the perfection of their yoga. These two people are always there. Those who are beginning, those who have already attained. So those who are beginning, they have a motivation by looking at those who have attained. The pure devotees, we see their activities. And we want to become like that. They are living example. They are a proof that the process is working. Then looking up to them, we are also practicing. We want to become like them. So most of the time we get guidance from them. Then they now guide us how to gradually come to their level. This is the duty of the spiritual masters and other advanced devotees. They give guidance on how we can also gradually come to the perfect stage of perfection. So we should know our levels, and our questions and our activities should be based on our levels. That's why when we're asking questions, the questions should be how we can make advancement from where we are, how we can control our senses properly, how we can practice properly in order to get the ultimate truth. This will be our questions. So they become relevant inquiries. Those who are on the first level, on the ultimate level, what are they called? Just like a beginner and one who has attained the goal. One is a graduate, one is just beginning the school. There's a difference. So verse 3. Aruruksha muni yogam karma karanam uchate tasyaiva sama karanam uchate. Sama Karanam Uchate. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. So can you see that? Those who are beginning, the activities are different. They have to work in Krishna consciousness. This will be the activities. Active engagement in Krishna consciousness. This is the activity. But for those who have already attained the ultimate platform, cessation, just renouncing everything, giving out, not attaining, not trying to endeavor to attain anything, but renouncing and pushing everything back, just freeing themselves from all the accumulations that are running after them. That is said to be the means. You see, so there are different activities prescribed for people on different levels of advancement in Krishna consciousness. You can get it. Yeah. The activities of a bhakta and the activities of a guru, they are different. Though basically they practice the same principles, the guru is practicing those principles to show us example. He has already attained self-realization, but he's also practicing to show us example. You see? And it is not that you practice, then when you become perfect, you no longer practice. You still practice to show example, because we are there to educate others. But even if they don't do the things we are doing, they will not fall down, because they still have other activities, many other activities they are absorbing. But they're also doing the ones we are doing to just encourage us, to show us how to do. You see, so there are two types of them. One is the Aruruksha, is it? One is the Arurusha, and one is the Yoga Rudas. One is the Aruruksha, then the other one is Yoga Rudas. Two. So let's read the purport and let's see the difference between them. The type of duties expected of the beginner, the type of activities expected of the one who has already attained. Let's all read purport.
Purport.
Yeah.
The process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. It may be compared to a ladder for attaining the topmost spiritual realization. This ladder begins from the lowest material condition of the living entity and rises up to perfect self-realization in pure spiritual life. According to various elevations, different parts of the ladder are known by different names. But all in all, the complete ladder is called yoga and may be divided into three parts, namely Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The beginning of the ladder is called the Yoga Rukshu stage, and the highest rank is called Yoga Ruda. Concerning the Eightfold Yoga system, attempts in the beginning to enter into meditation through regulative principles of life and practice of different sitting postures, which are more or less bodily exercises, are considered creative material activities. All such activities lead to achieving perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses. When one is accomplished in the practice of meditation, he ceases all disturbing mental activities. A Krishna conscious person, however, is situated from the beginning on the platform of meditation because he always thinks of Krishna. And being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna is considered to have ceased all material activity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we can see the difference between the two. The beginning stage of the ladder is called Yoga Ruruksha. And the end of the ladder That means the neophyte devotee is practicing on the stage of Yoga Ruruksha, beginning stage. And Yoga Ruda is the advanced stage, one who has attained, who has undergone enough purification. It becomes a Yoga Ruda. But those who are beginning, they are called Yoga Ruruksha. So there are two, and their activities are different. Yes, their activities are different. You see, those who are advanced, they renounce all works. You can attain renunciation when you are already advanced, you are well practiced. But those who are beginning, they must act, they must do works. The word renunciation, it does not refer to them. And if this, even if it refers to them, it means renouncing the fruit of the work. You should do your work, you should do your duty, but you should renounce the fruit. That means you should work for God. But for those who are advanced and who have already attained, their own is to renounce everything mundane altogether. They don't need to work. And not working means not working for sense gratification. They don't do any materialistic work anymore. Instead, they renounce the desire for sense gratification. They renounce the desire to lord it over. In fact, they surrender their desire to the desire of the Lord fully. And they act, they work only for propagating God consciousness. That's their only work. They have no other duty to perform. You see, for such persons, they have attained equanimity of mind. They have attained samadhi. Samadhi means constantly thinking of the Lord. And that is the last stage of the yoga ladder. Constantly meditating on the Lord. That is the last stage. So the yoga rudas, they have attained the last stage. They are always in trance thinking about the Lord. While the yoga rurukshas, there's so many desires are still coming into their mind and their heart. They just have to work in order to purify themselves, to work under guidance, in order to purify themselves by regular work. So they don't need to renounce. They have not reached the stage of renouncing. And here it is said that Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, he answers the question, should the Astanga yogi perform his prescribed duties as long as he lives? He says that this third text describes how in the Yoga Ruruksha beginning stage, one works in Niskama Kama Yoga while simultaneously practicing Astanga Yoga. That purifies his heart. That when the aspiring yogi becomes elevated in his practice to the point of Yoga Ruda, he gives up Niskama Kama Yoga and practices Astanga Yoga exclusively. Okay? So that is it. Yoga Ruruksha, Yoga Ruda stage begins at meditation, in which the yogi is now constantly thinking and remembering the Lord. Everything he sees remembers him about the Lord. So the Lord is never lost to him at any point. He has attained samadhi. Samadhi doesn't mean you don't think of anything, you close your eyes and you are sleeping. No. Samadhi means everything you are seeing, your eyes are open. Your eyes are not closed, but you are seeing everything in relationship with the Lord. This is samadhi. That is the stage that a yoga ruda already attains. So he has no work to do than to talk about the Lord, think about the Lord, educate people about the Lord. That's all. But for one who's at the beginning stage, he still needs to do work because he's not free from desires yet, but he purifies himself by acting in Krishna consciousness, by acting according to scriptural regulations, so that he can be gradually purified of all desires. Then he will also eventually attain Why? Because the Ashtanga yoga is practiced in perfection when one is in samadhi. Constant meditation on the Lord. That is the beginning, actual beginning of Ashtanga yoga. But the process is very, very difficult as in comparison to the activities in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, the advice is that we should act in Krishna consciousness. Just do activities in Krishna consciousness and you are covered. Okay, don't go and undergo these rigorous processes. It takes thousands and thousands. Even the duration of life is short now. And the distractions in Kali Yuga, you can't compare. So the safest way is to act in Krishna consciousness. Become a modern yogi in Krishna consciousness. That is the safest way. That is it. It's two stages are there, but two practitioners are there also. And everybody should know his level where he is. Then he should engage in his activities on that level and is protected. Okay. So verse 4. What are the symptoms of one who is already elevated in yoga? Verse 4. Yadahi nendriyatesu na karmasu anusajate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudas tadosyate. Okay. Translation. A person is said to be elevated in yoga, having renounced all material desires. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. Yadahi nendriyatesu na karmasu anusajate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudas tadosyate. So purport.
Purport. When a person is fully engaged in the transcendental lovely service of the Lord, he is pleased in himself, and thus he is no longer engaged in sense gratification or in fruitive activities. Otherwise, one must be engaged in sense gratification, since one cannot live without engagement. Without Krishna consciousness, one must be always seeking self-centered or extended selfish activities. But a Krishna conscious person can do everything for the satisfaction of Krishna and thereby be perfectly detached from sense gratification. One who has no such realization must mechanically try to escape material desire before being elevated to the top rank of the yoga ladder. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that is it. One is actually elevated in yoga. The symptom is that first is free from all indriyatesu. Indriyatesu is free from all desire for sense gratification. Then is free from na kamasu. Na kamasu is free from all fruitive activities. Na kamasu is free from sense gratification. And na indriyatesu. Then na kamasu is free from all fruitive activities. Then sarva sankalpa sannyasi, he has renounced all desires for sense gratification. Then yoga rudas tadosyate. Such a person is said to be a yoga ruda. One who has attained is free from all desire for sense gratification. is free from all Sarva Sankalpa. What it was? Yes, is free from all material desires. Sarva Sankalpa is free from all material desires. Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi is free from all desire for sense gratification. Na indriya tesu, then is free from all fruitive desire for fruitive activities. Na karmasu. Such a person is situated in equanimity. But to attain that through Ashtanga Yoga, you have to pass through all the ladders, different sitting postures, different breathing exercises, until finally you attain Samadhi before you reach that. But somebody who is actively engaged in Krishna consciousness is completely absorbed in Samadhi already, thinking about the Lord, how to satisfy the Lord, how to propagate the glories of the Lord, how to absorb himself in the holy name of the Lord, and actively engaging all his senses in devotional practices, positive devotional practices, studying the scriptures, worshiping of the deities, chanting of the holy names, and all the 9 processes of bhakti, getting absorbed, preaching the glories of the Lord to people, telling people about the Lord, his appearance, his activities, and his pastimes, and taking only prashadam. His life is regulated in Krishna consciousness automatically. So such a person, it is easier for him. So it is easier for a Krishna conscious person to attain samadhi than for a practitioner of Ashtanga yoga. That is the point.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, you mentioned 4 na. Can you repeat this na? 4 na you mentioned. Na bogasu na no consider no big of Pepsi or Ruben. Na. Little by little. Na indresu.
Na indriya tesu.
Tesu. Tesu, okay.
Indriya tesu.
Me what?
Is free from all desires for sense gratification. Na
Mm.
indriya tesu. Then na karmasu is free from all desires for fruitive activities. Na karmasu anusajate. Then sarva sankalpa sannyasi is free from all material desires. All material desires. Na indriyatesu, na karmasu, sarva sankalpa sannyasi is free from all material desires. And such a person is actually a yoga ruda. A person is said to be elevated in yoga when having renounced all material desires, he neither asks for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. So in the direct translation of the Sanskrit, word for word translation, these things are spelled out. He never have any desire. He's free from desire for sense gratification, desire for fruitive activities, and he renounces all desire for material sense in general. Such a person has already arrived. But to arrive there, the easiest process is to, without consideration, just engage in devotional activities. That's all. If you mechanically try to control the senses until you attain samadhi, it will take you a very long time, and you can easily be distracted at any point, and you will fall down. But you are protected and secured if you are active in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness yoga or Bhakti yoga is still the highest, is the simplest, is the safest, and is the fastest, and is the best. So this verse is a glorification to Bhakti yoga over all other yogas. Owing to the higher spiritual taste, the yogi renounces both material desires and the desire for fruitive pursuits. He thus attains the Yogaruda platform. Such a yogi may choose to continue his work which mostly consists of his prescribed duties, not out of attachment, but to set proper example. Okay? So Krishna wants Arjuna to act as a matter of setting proper example. And if you are acting under the direction of the Lord in the pursuit of setting example for others to see, and also in the matter of wanting to please the Lord, carrying out his duty, you are the highest of all yogis. This devotional yogi principle is very difficult for people who like complicated things to understand. People like complicated. When they hear yoga, they will not respect you as a yogi unless you are standing on your head and you are stressing and you are moving with only one hand, and you are standing on one leg and your hands are raised like an akasipo. Then this is a yogi. This is a yogi. This is the real yogi. Perform rigorous activities. Stop breathing. Even you can stop breathing like Dhruva Maharaj did. Hey, this is the yogi. But in Krishna consciousness, just by acting for the pleasure of Krishna, a pure devotee acquires all mystic perfections. All siddhis are within, and the Lord is keeping it for him, so that anytime he needs it, the Lord will just release that portion he needs and just withdraw the rest and keep it for him. That means a pure devotee doesn't know that he is already sharing the opulences with the Lord. He doesn't even know that he carries so much of energy, because he's only humbly engaged in serving the Lord, trying to represent the Lord. That's what he knows. But the energy of the Lord is following him automatically, because he's now situated within the confines of the internal potency of the Lord. It's not in the external potency again. It's in the internal potency of the Lord. And the internal potency of the Lord define all his activities, make all the background, form all the background for his pastime, and manifest itself whenever it's needed, so that himself will remain humble. If somebody knows that he carries so much of energy, the person can easily become proud also. So to protect the devotee from the dangerous vampire called pride, the Lord himself personally keep the mystic opulences of the pure devotees. So this is a Yoga Ruda. One is said to have attained the Yoga Ruda platform when he does not ask for any sense gratificatory activities. He does not involve himself in any fruitive activity, and he does not have any material desires. He's acting only as a matter of setting example for others. That's all. It's not attached. It's not attached. Just like there was a story of them to go and pursue some land, succeed. So they were sitting morose. They were sitting in the class, but they were not happy. They were not happy. Then Srila Prabhupada was giving class. Then he said, even if you have a desire to serve the Lord, and somehow or the other, the thing didn't happen, there is no question of becoming morose. You should still sing and dance. You should still sing and dance. That means don't be over-attached to the result. You have done your part. You endeavored sincerely, and the result didn't come. So there is no cause for you to be moody, because you have done your part. And leave the rest for God. You are not the doer. It is the Lord that sanctions. It is the Lord that sanctions. You have done your part, but the Lord did not sanction it. He has a reason. So in all circumstances, just sing and dance for the pleasure of the Lord. Do your devotional activities unconditionally. So this is the devotee. No pride, is humble, is not elated when there is cause for elation. He does not become morose when there is cause for distress. His mind is equiposed. Such a person is already situated in Samadhi. The Yoga Rudas, Hare Krishna. So that is it. Non-attraction to sense objects is required for one in the Yoga Ruda stage for the following reasons. Okay? Why is it that somebody is in the Yoga Ruda place, the Yoga Ruda platform? Such a person needs to be free from attraction to sense objects. Why should he become free from desire for sense gratification? Why should he become free from desire for fruitive activities? Why should he become free from all material desires? Let us read the text 5. Then we'll see. Because yoga is about mind and sense control. The mind is the nucleus of the senses. Unless the mind is controlled, one has not started practicing yoga. So, verse 5. Udared atmanam namatmanam avasadayat atmainvahi atmano bandhu atmainva ripo atmana. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Somebody should read the purport, please.
Purport. The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul. The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul, depending upon different circumstances. In the yoga system, the mind and the conditioned soul are especially important. Since the mind is the central point of yoga practice, Atma refers here to the mind. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from attachment to sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nuisance. In material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with the false ego, which desires to lord it over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. And this way, the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade oneself by attraction to sense objects. The more one is attracted by sense objects, the more one becomes entangled in material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word he is used for emphasizing this point. That is, one must do this. It is also said, Mana eva manushanam karana banda mokshayo bandaya visaya sango muktaya nirvisayam manaha. For man, mind is the cause of bondage and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the sense objects is the cause of liberation. Amrita Bindu Upanishad 2. Therefore, the mind which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the cause of supreme liberation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the central point of yoga. The central point of yoga is mind control. Mind control, sense control. And in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami told us, spiritual life controlled, it acts as a friend. But the mind is uncontrolled, it acts as an enemy. An uncontrolled mind will desire all the things for sense gratification that will drag you down. And it will push you to go after them. But the controlled mind will tell you, oh, if I do like this, if I do this, the scripture says like this. If I do this, this will be the result. So why should I go and voluntarily plug myself? I know that fire burns. And therefore, naturally, I avoid touching fire. Fire burns. Most of us, all of us, we know that fire burns. So naturally, we withdraw from touching fire. Nobody wants to touch fire. Balabadra will not want to touch fire. You know that fire burns. As soon as it sees fire, it starts moving backwards. So similarly, all of us know that the senses, when when you indulge yourself in bringing them in contact with the objects, it becomes the source of misery for you. So naturally, we have to withdraw from. So a mind which is, engaged in sense gratification, which is not controlled, it brings about suffering and miseries. Therefore, it acts as an enemy. But when the mind is controlled and only selects activities that we please the Lord, then that mind is acting as a friend. So we should make our mind our friend, not our enemy. This is the point. We should make our minds our friends, not our enemy. The mind is an instrument. If we use it positively, it brings positive result. If we use it negatively, it brings negative. So all the processes of yoga, the central point is mind and sense control. Mind control mostly because when the mind is controlled, automatically the senses are controlled. So the focus is to control the mind. The mind is the nucleus of all the senses. So when the mind is controlled, automatically the senses are controlled. You remember the 8 stages of fall down. Where do they begin from? Bhagavad Gita 2:62-63. Di ayato visaya pumsa. Sangat tesu upajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kama krudo abhijayate. 2:62 and 2:63. Di ayato visaya pumsa. Sangat tesu
Contemplation of
upajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kama krudo abhijayate. While contemplating the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So fall down begin with contemplation. Contemplation means the mind meditating on something. So if the mind meditates on activities that will, free him from bondage, that mind is a friend. But if the mind is stuck in thinking of objects of the senses and sense gratification, that mind is an enemy. So one who is wanting to be a yogi should consciously endeavor to control the mind and sense. Ashtanga yoga process is a mechanical process of controlling the mind. Mechanical. If you follow all these stages and if you follow them and practice them mechanically, the mind will become under control. But because the mind is very active, very stubborn, just like keeping a stubborn child in one place, after a short time, the child wants to move. So you have to be constantly attentive to withdraw the mind wherever I want to go. It is very rigorous. But here in Krishna conscious activities, the mind is automatically controlled when engaged in devotional activities. And what are these devotional activities? If you see the purport to 261, you will see how Ambarish Maharaj engaged his senses in devotional activities. When we say of all yogis, only the bhaktas, only the devotees, they are allowed to engage the senses. All other type of yogis, they are told to withdraw from engaging the senses. They try to stop the senses from action activities. But the Bhakti yogis say no, engage the senses in activities. The only yoga process that allows you to engage the senses is Bhakti yoga. And it make it very sweet so that the propensity to dance is there. You will dance. We will not say don't dance. That you only dance Krishna conscious songs. That means you are replacing lower engagement with higher engagements. And that will bring about the higher taste you need. As soon as you develop the higher taste, you become steadily situated in those activities. You see? So Krishna consciousness is very sweet. You are practicing the biggest yoga without knowing that you are practicing yoga. So Ambarish Maharaj showed us an example of how to engage the senses. Lord Chaitanya has been saying it always. Engage the senses in the service of the master of the senses. That is the best way to control it automatically. But Ambarish Maharaj is showing us the practical way to control the senses. So in verse 261 in the purport, Bhagavad Gita 261 in the purport, you will see Sabai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo Vacham Sibai Kunta Gunanu Vanane Karauari Mandira Marjana Disu Srutin Chakara Shuta Satkatu Daye Mukunda Linga Layadasa Nedrisu That bridge Yaga Traspase Anga Sanganam Granam Chatatpada Saroja Surabi Sriman Tulasya Rasanam Tad Arpite Padau Arishatra Padanu Sapane Siro Irisi Kesha Padabi Vadane Kamam Chadasye Natukama Kamyaya Yatu Tamasloka Janasraya Rati. King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleaning the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotees, his nostril in smelling the flowers that offered to the Lord, the Lord's lotus feet, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaf, offered to the Lord, his legs in traveling to the holy places where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. Matpara devotee of the Lord. The word Matpara is most significant in this connection. How one can become Matpara is described in the life of Ambarish Maharaj. So that is it. And you say that Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great scholar and acharya in the line of the Matpara, remarks, Mat Bhakti Parabhavena Savendriya Vijaya Purvika Swatma Dristi Sulabeti Bhaved. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. So you see this is a practical way of controlling the senses. Active engagement in devotional activity. Active engagement in devotional activities. That is how to make the mind your friend. You want to make the mind your friend? Engage the mind in active devotional activities. Okay, that is the formula. Otherwise, The mind will act as your enemy. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bala.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. For the yoga Visha, devotee, a stage of yoga Visha, a devotee, sometimes you make a sample that day that sometimes I also mentioned that the mind is very difficult to control, and you also make an example that sometimes one can be with his spiritual master because we're under the influence of the material nature. Sometimes you can even be looking at beside your spiritual master, can be looking at a fine woman going. So which means according to the Bhagavad Gita, say intelligence is more higher than the mind. But why is that? Even the intelligence is more higher than the mind. Sometimes the intelligence gives the reader. You know this is the actual thing. Sometimes this is coming, it's not automatically. Even though you try to control the mind, you continue coming. Is there any stage this thing will stop, Rabuji? Because when you want to do it, the mind will just carry you. You just carry you to another place. For the thing for about 5 years. Is there any time, a stage of life, this thing will stop? Because we are started withdrawing. This is a continued practice. So can you give how we can do as a different devotee, we can be more situated in this condition?
Prabhu Baba, the point is that as long as you are in the material world, the mind will always continue to push.
I'm crying.
But you should also be alert. It will pull you, but you should always be alert also by constant practice. Anytime he push you there, you bring it back. Anytime he push you there, you bring it back. Then you engage it in studying scripture, memorizing slokas, and So the question is constant. The answer is constant practice and by detachment. There's no time the mind will leave you alone. It is said that the mind is so strong that it can influence intelligence, conquer the intelligence sometimes. The mind is so powerful that it can conquer the intelligence sometimes. And Arjuna acknowledged this. So when he asked Krishna like this, he said, why? How can I control the mind? Because the mind is stronger than even the wind. But Krishna said, yes, it is true, but by constant practice and by detachment. Constant practice and by detachment. So that's why you have to be constantly engaged in devotional activities. Constantly. Don't joke with your japa. Don't joke with your study of scripture. Don't joke with your attendance of Bhagavatam class. Don't ever joke with any devotional service given to you. So by that, you learn how to constantly engage the mind in the service of Krishna. So in that way, it can be controlled. Even the pure devotees, those who have become pure devotees, sometimes the mind will be try to suggest something for them. The mind will bring some suggestions of gratification. Immediately they will knock the mind. Go back, get out. So they are very alert. They are awake. When the snake of the mind just bring his head out in the hole, he will knock it. The snake will go back. But for you, if you become inattentive, the snake will come out, come and circle you. You will not know, bite you even. So let us be conscious. Now, by constant practice and by detachment, that's why you hear the word Goswami. Goswami, the master of the senses. That means the senses are constantly bombarded, but it's able to control the mind, control the senses. Therefore, it's a Goswami. The pushes are there. Vacho Begam, Manasa, Kroda Begam. The urges are always pushing. But you will control the urges by constant practice and by detachment. Constant practice and detachment. Constant practice and detachment. Constant practice and detachment. Don't be lazy at any time. Don't be inattentive at any time. Constantly practice your devotional principles. That's why chant attentively. Even when you are chanting, don't you see that the mind tries to take you away from the japa?
He plenty, oh, Babu, plenty. He plenty, Babu. I think that time guys, I plenty pass.
You, you want to remember the mantra as you are calling the name. You want to remember it. The mind will try to take you back to something, even at that point. So you have to first to bring the mind back and engage it in the chanting. Then it's a very stubborn child, the mind, and it's very close to you. So constant practice and by detachment. That is what is needed, Babu. So in verse 6, let us see continuation. 6. Bandhu atmat manastasya yenat mai vatmanajita anatmanastu satruve vartetatmai vasatruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain his greatest enemy. The consequences of not controlling the mind and the consequences of controlling the mind. The advantages of controlling the mind and the disadvantages of not controlling the mind. This is the content of this verse, verse 6. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain his greatest enemy. Purport.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The purpose of practicing Eightfold Yoga is to control the mind in order to make it a friend in discharging the human mission. Unless the mind is controlled, the practice of yoga for show is simply a waste of time. One who cannot control the mind lives always with the greatest enemy, and thus his life and its mission are spoiled. The constitutional position of the living entity is to carry out the order of the superior. As long as one's mind remains an unconquered enemy, one has to serve the dictation of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, etc. But when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. Real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. For one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. Before then, you say, but when the mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to abide by the dictation of the personality of Godhead, who is situated within the heart of everyone as Paramatma. The real yoga practice entails meeting the Paramatma within the heart and then following his dictation. So the Paramatma yogis or Paramatma Vadis, they are the Gyanis, the meditators and the Astanga yogis. And their own meditation is to eventually meditate and go internal until they see the Lord, they meet the Lord there. Then they start following the dictations of the Lord from within. That is it. That is the process. But that process is very difficult before you can go conquer the mind, conquer the senses, conquer the intelligence, conquer the ego till you reach. You go beyond all those layers of illusion before you can have a direct perception of the Lord in the heart. It takes thousands of years of meditation. Yes. But for one who takes to Krishna consciousness directly, perfect surrender to the dictation of the Lord follows automatically. By working under Krishna's guidance, you are directly following the dictations of the Lord. The dictations that the yogis and Paramatma Vadis and Astanga yogis are looking for. When you are acting in Krishna consciousness, you are directly, carrying out the dictations of the Lord. As in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna himself is speaking about himself. He's giving his dictations openly in the Bhagavad Gita. This should be done. This should be done. This is where this is. This is what it is. This is where this is. This is how to go about it. So if you follow the instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita, directly you are obeying the dictations of the Lord in the heart. And it saves time and it saves you all kinds of danger. Yes. And that is why those who do not follow, who discard the scriptural injunctions, they are constantly following the dictations of lust, anger, avarice, illusion, conceit, self-deceit, vindictiveness, malice, and all the vices. They are there as children and grandchildren of, lust. And once you don't follow the dictations of the Lord, you must follow the dictations of the illusory energy of the Lord. And that is what is going on. So a devotee is encouraged to study the scriptures as we are doing, so that we become abreast with the sastric injunctions. And under the guidance of these pure devotees, they will also start practicing self-control, mind control, intelligence control, ego purification, and all in one pot devotional activities. This is the simplicity of Krishna consciousness. Just do devotional activities. The do's, and we do the do's, we avoid the don'ts. And that's the first two components of surrender. The first component of surrender is to accept only those things that are favorable for the execution of devotional service. And the second component is to avoid all those things that are unfavorable to the execution of devotional service. So that is this. Therefore, one endeavoring transcendentalist must renounce the desire for sense gratification. Otherwise, his mind will degrade him. We must control the mind. In purport to test 5, therefore, the Prabhupada wrote, and let me read it again. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nescience. In material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with the false ego, which desire to lord it over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. And in this way, the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade oneself by attraction to sense objects. The more one is attracted by sense objects, the more one becomes entangled in material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word he is used for emphasizing this point. That is, that one must do it. One must do it. So in the next three verses, 7, 8, and 9, Krishna describes the symptoms of a person with a controlled mind on the Yoga Ruda platform. In three verses, Krishna is describing the qualities or the symptoms of a person who is engaged in Yoga Rudra. The person with a controlled mind. Krishna is going to describe the symptoms of such a person in verses 7, 8, and 9. And let's see if we can stop there. Then before we can stop there. Yes. Verse 7. Jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahita sitosna sukadu kesu tata mana pamanayo tata mana pamanayo. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. For he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
Purport. Actually, every living entity is intended to abide by the dictation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. When the mind is misled by the external illusory energy, one becomes entangled in material activities. Therefore, as soon as one's mind is controlled through one of the yoga system, one should be considered to have already reached the destination. One has to abide by superior dictation. When one's mind is fixed on the superior nature, he has no alternative but to follow the dictation of the Supreme. The mind must admit some superior dictation and follow it. The effect of controlling the mind is that one automatically follows the dictation of the Paramatma or Supersoul. Because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness. The devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi. This state is practical samadhi or absorption in the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that is it. One who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. For he becomes equally disposed in dualities, happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, fame and infamy. He sees the Lord in every situation and he sees every situation in the Lord. So he does not lament and he does not become elated when there is cause for elation. He does not lament when there is cause for lamentation. He sees the smaller picture within the bigger picture. And that is it. That is the beauty of attaining equanimity. Jitatmana. One who has controlled the mind is called Jitatma or Jitatmana. Then for such a person, it becomes prasanta. Prasanta means it becomes peaceful. It becomes peaceful. Nothing can agitate his mind. Jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahita. Samahita. He approached the Lord in the heart. And he has a perception of the Lord in the heart. Then it becomes Sito Osna Suka Dukada. Sito Osna Suka Dukesu. It becomes equiposed in both happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, fame and infamy. So these are the symptoms of one who has controlled the mind. We like to control our minds, yes. Why? Because we want to be also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare. So the next two verses are in the same line, more of the qualities of one who has controlled the mind, very attractive qualities. And we have to endeavor to be there also. Verse 8. Yuktatma kutas yukta iti uchyate yogi. Said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone, or gold, as the same.
Yes. Purport. Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. Book knowledge without realization of the supreme is useless. This is stated as Ata Sri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavat Grihane Nindriya Sevenuptehi Jitnado Swayam Eva Spiriti Ada. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions. But by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is the realized soul who is actually self-controlled because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So two things are there. There is Jnana, there is Vijnana. Jnana means scriptural knowledge. Scriptural knowledge, what we are reading from the scriptures. Then Vijnana means knowledge coming from the super soul, the Lord in the heart. Vijnana means realized knowledge. That realization is coming from the Lord in the heart. When we say Sabai Pumsa Parodamu, Yato Bhakti Adoksaje, Ahaitu Kia Pratiata, Yayat Masu Prasidati. Sabai Pumsa Parodamu, Yato Bhakti Adoksaje, Ahaitu Kia Pratiata, Yayat Masu Prasidati. When you are engaged in the activity of the soul in relation to the super soul, you will have a direct perception of the Lord by realization. That realization is coming It's called Vijnana. It's coming from the Lord in the heart. The Lord is in the heart, and is Sakshi Ananda, is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So when purification takes place, you begin to hear the dictations of the Lord in the heart. And unless knowledge is realized, theoretical knowledge is not enough. You can read the scripture and quote, but you don't realize, you don't have a direct perception of the self by realization. So how do you realize? That's why we say theoretically the formula we gave was 1 drop of realized knowledge is equivalent to 1 gallon of theoretical knowledge. 1 gallon of theoretical knowledge is equivalent, is equal to 1 drop of realized knowledge. You can imagine the level of concentration, the value of realized knowledge. 1 gallon, 25-liter gallon of theoretical knowledge is equal to 1 drop of realized knowledge. And we gave the formula. How do you transmute theoretical knowledge into its realized equivalent? And we told you that Guru Seva, Sadhu Seva, and strong sadhana. Guru Seva, Sadhu Seva, strong sadhana. This is the formula for transmuting theoretical knowledge into its realized equivalent. So here we are made to understand that there is jnana, theoretical knowledge, but theoretical or scriptural knowledge is not bad, it's very good. That's what we are studying. But it must be confirmed by the Lord in the heart. And the realization must flow from within. And that realization will come when there is purification. Purification will come when you are engaged in Guru Seva, Sadhu Seva, and strong sadhana. If we do this, then your theoretical knowledge will be confirmed by realized knowledge from the super soul. They will be one. When you read the scripture, you just realize that, yes, this is true. The super soul will confirm the scriptural knowledge, and you are actually there. You see? At that time, what happened? Kutastha, you become steadily situated. Kutastha, you become spiritually situated. You become steadily spiritually situated in your constitutional position, knowledge of you become situated in realized knowledge. Kutastha, you become fixed in your determination. Yes. Yes. Why? Because Vijita Indriya, the senses are controlled. And because the senses are controlled, you no longer see the difference between, you become like Samalostrama Kansana. You no longer see the difference between pebbles, gold, stone. When you meet pebbles, stones, and you meet gold on the floor, it's the same to you. You don't become elated. Hey, this is gold. Yeah, gold. My life is changed. You will not react like that. It's the same way you see sand or stones on the floor, you see gold. It is like another stone for you. Why? Because you have no desire for sense gratification. It's because you have no desire for sense gratification. But if you have desire for sense gratification, like somebody whose name starting with A is you'll be shocked. When you have desire for sense gratification, you will see the difference. When you see gold, hey, gold, you begin to even faint. Now, we told the story of the horse seller, the horse caretaker that won lotto. He won the lotto, and once they announced the news, say, you have won 100 million lakh. So he became so happy that he fell down and died. His body could not contain the happiness. He died. So he could not enjoy the lotto money. But when you are trained in self-control, in sense control, in mind control, you become fully situated in in self-realization, when your theoretical knowledge is masked by the realized knowledge from within. That time, you no longer become elated. You see both stone and gold as the same. Sama Lustrava Kanshana. You see? So such a person is a yogi, is a true yogi. And that is where we are expected to arrive at, to become true yogis. That they say, his mind is tripta, satisfied. By what is he satisfied? By his jnana, by his knowledge, theoretical knowledge, plus realized knowledge. His jnana and vijnana make him satisfied. And maintaining a satisfied mood is not easy because the mind tends to be whimsical. Kutastha means one is fixed in spiritually elevated consciousness. Is fixed, one is fixed or is spiritually elevated. And before his mind gives up sense gratification and is able to be satisfied by jnana and vijnana, it may have to be beaten. Just as a blacksmith beats metal on an anvil. When a blacksmith is beating the metal, I want to make it to a particular shape. He first heat it. He heat it high with a high temperature. Then he now start to beat the metal. Pa, 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 pa. Then the metal begin to take the shape he wants. So also in our devotional life, we are just like metals. We need to be beaten by the guru. The guru is the blacksmith. The guru beat us by chastising us from external. Don't do this. Why did you do this? You are expecting the guru to smile at you, shout at you. Oh, nonsense. Why do you happen to? That is the beating. The guru has to constantly beat you to shape. But while he's beating you from the external, he also put one hand inside the other hand. He's using to pacify you. I'm beating you because I want you to be mature. Understand? I am your father. When the father beats a child, he's not beating him just for the sake of beating. He wants to correct him and make him become a better child. His intention is to make him a better child. That's why the guru. So the guru is like a blacksmith, and the devotee is like the metal, shapeless metal. And the guru wants to make him into a particular shape. So he chastises him. If you are thinking guru will always be smiling with you, you are lying. You don't understand yet. When the guru is heavy with knowledge and is carrying the rod of chastisement in his hand, and he's going to chastise you. Don't do this, don't do that. Why you should not do this? Then he will use the other hand to pacify you. Sometimes he smile with you. He give you some service to do. When you do it, he tell you something soft. On the other hand, that is the guru for you. He has to shape you. So we are lucky that we have such gurus, and as disciples, let us try to be proper disciples who will receive the beating of the guru and the pampering of the guru as the same. Many of you, how many times have you written letter to your guru? How many times are you communicating with your guru? Have you communicated with your guru? You don't. You are so afraid that if I try to communicate with the guru.
Prabhu, I do.
Okay, that is good. Because when you communicate with the guru, you don't go and tell him your achievement. Just tell him how you need to make more advancement, the formula. Those are the things you ask for.
Those who do, they don't talk. Those who are doing, they are not talking. Those who are talking, they are not doing.
That is it. So when you meet the guru, you have to communicate with your guru from time to time. You have to build a relationship with your guru. That relationship, you build it by communicating with him, telling him your shortcomings. Don't always pretend as if you are perfect, you have no problem. No. Communicate your challenges with the guru, ask for advice, and when he gives you advice, be ready to take it. Then your advancement will come. But we don't communicate out of fear that Guru will chastise us and all that. You see? So let us take advantage of the facilities available for us and allow the blacksmith Guru to pound us to the shape that we need to reshape us very well, very well. Knock out all the psychological nonsense. One who has just brought his mind under full control is eligible to give up Niskama Yoga. Sit down and meditate. Are you ready? Okay, the last verse for today. Are you really ready? Okay. The last verse for today. Verse 9. Surimitrari udasina Madhyasta dvesya bandusu Sadusu api chapa pesu Samabudi visisyate. Samabudi visisyate. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral, meditators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and the sinner with an equal mind. Okay. With an equal mind. There is no purpose for that. So, dear, this verse actually describes the most advanced stage of the Yogaruda platform. It is difficult for even a great sage to give up family attachments. Yeah, Krishna recommends Samabudhi. The yogi must be equal to family members, friends, and enemies. Are you there? Are you ready?
We are ready.
You become indifferent to everybody, including family members. You can take chastisement from family members sometimes. You can take chastisement from friends.
We are
but
ready.
To take enemies, not easy. Somebody you consider an enemy who doesn't like your matter at all, you come and chastise you. And you are ready to take it with equal minds. You are advanced, though. The affectionate benefactor, so he regards all of them, the honest well-wishers, the affectionate benefactors, the neutral, the meditators, the envious. Even somebody you know that is envious of you, you relate equally with him. You don't return envy to him. You don't become angry when your envious person does something to you. Somebody you consider a friend does something to you, you can easily tolerate it. After all, it's a friend. But somebody you consider an enemy does anything, you want to kill the person. But you are supposed to, the advanced Yogarudra, those who have attained the highest point of Yogarudra, they receive everything with equal mind. The pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind. The Yogarudra does that. He just receives all of them with equal mind. How beautiful. We tend to consider someone who approaches us as a man of good discrimination, but view one who doesn't as an envious person. Suhrit means a well-wisher, and Mitra means a benefactor. Ari means a killer. Udasina refers to one who is neutral, and a Madhyasta is an impartial judge concerned. But neutrally meditating between belligerents. The Dwesya is envious. Bandusu means a well-wisher. How can we see all such persons equally? It is more difficult to see this equally than to equally view pebbles and stones or gold. If one is able to achieve this platform, however, his meditation becomes uninterrupted. His meditation becomes uninterrupted. But how can we see this equally? What is the formula? There is one single thing you can do to be able to attain this point of equal vision or neutrality or equanimity of mind. Seeing gold and pebble as the same, an enemy or a friend as the same. One thing, and that thing is when we are free from desire for sense gratification. When you are free from desire for sense gratification, then of course you will be able to see everything, everyone equally, everyone, even if they throw on you that, okay, the Lord is acting as an agent of the Lord to remind me of something. Maybe this is something I've done before in my previous life. So in this lifetime, this one is simply an instrument to remind me about that. So I will not be angry with him. How to attain such equanimity of mind? Seeing gold and purpose on equal level. You don't become elated. The way you treat a stone, the same way you treat the gold. Unless you are free from desire for sense gratification. And this desire for sense gratification is very subtle. Externally, you say you don't want sense gratification, but in your mind, you have desire for adoration, you have desire for distinction, you have desire for fame and name. That means you have desire for sense gratification. So the most advanced yoga rudras who are already in samadhi, they see everything with equal vision. Yes, but they are the highest form of yogis. They are in samadhi. They see the hand of the Lord in every situation. And they just see that this is the Lord in action through his energy. So they offer obeisances in all circumstances. Even snake and tiger, they will offer obeisance. When they see long snake, they just offer up their obeisances. And they will not be peeping, no. Not that they lie down and they'll be using one eye to look the snake. No. If you use one eye to look the snake says, this person is suspicious of me. That means it could be dangerous. The snake will also start to mark you, become very attentive, gathering his venoms. But when you offer obeisance, you don't raise your head at all. You just lie there, even though the snake is in your front. You don't care what will happen. That time, the snake himself knows that yes, this person is a neutral person. So this position is achievable if one becomes a pure devotee of the Lord. And we see in the history where a devotee, pure devotee, was in a cave, the snake was in a cave. When people became disturbed, the snake walked away, walked out of the cave, leave the cave for the pure devotee. So anyway, these are high level of advanced devotees, and we are also expected to arrive there. But we are not going to go through the Ashtanga yoga process. We are going to practice Bhakti yoga, purify our consciousness until we will also attain there. It is very easy, easiest for the pure devotees, modern yogis. And the chance is there, but the choice is yours. But let us start practicing, this kind of level of mind and sense control, because we can control the mind and refuse to see anybody as enemy, try to see everybody as the Lord's agent, Yomam Pasyati Savatra. Then, of course, we are gradually getting there. Hare Krishna. So in the next two verses, verses 10 to 32, 10 to 32, that's a different session. Krishna described the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, first in the perfected stage and then in the beginning stage. So this is verse 10. We are going to start from tomorrow. Verse 10 to 32. 10 to 32. Krishna described the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. First, he described the perfected stage of an Ashtanga Yogi, and then he explained about the beginning stage of Ashtanga Yoga. Then, of course, afterwards, we are going to see how Krishna will juxtapose. You will put these different yoga processes side by side, and you will glorify Bhakti Yoga over all other yogas, including Ashtanga Yoga. And we recommend that of all yogis, the Bhakti Yogi is the best. And therefore, we feel very happy. What we are doing is actually the highest. And Krishna will confirm this tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for now.
Thank
But we want to,
you very
once
much.
again, before we go, we want to solicit for your kind cooperation that we should attend classes. Otherwise, for me, with me, no problem. I don't have any problem. But when we bring other teachers and we portray this attitude, it will be demoralizing to them because they are sacrificing to come and teach. And if the students are inconsistent in attendance, they are inconsistent, then it is a disservice. It demoralizes them. Next time when we call them, they say, your students were not consistent last time. Me, I don't have time to waste. That is how you will see us. So we are appealing to you to cooperate and let us make this thing nice. Attendance is key. All of you are still, most of you are, your videos are still off also. And we know that some of you are there, but you are not there. What can we do? Diplomatic attendance. Diplomatic attendance continues. So what can we do? But please, let this thing end with me. I can absorb it. But when gurus complain about it to me, it becomes a provocation to me. So please, and please, better attendance. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So, Founder Charles,
Thank you very much. Jai. Jai Jai Prabhuji.
Yogis in devotion. Yeah,
Two people have
yogis
cut
in
off.
devotion.
Babu,
Yogis
two people
in
have cut off immediately. Two people
Eh?
have cut off immediately. Two people have cut off immediately. Why?
It's okay.
Can we do
It's
that?
okay. They were just tolerating us, so it's okay. Hare Krishna.